Thank you for coming out to the Hot Oak. Please come back. Silver Spring?
Yes.
It's not that, well, it is a drive, but yeah, come back. Loved having you. Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce the second featured poet today. And as I was getting dressed this afternoon after a long night of poker, I looked to see if I had anything that said Mississippi or Tennessee on it. And I had this hat. So this is a Nashville Sounds baseball hat, and I'm doing this in honor of Rick Hillis, who's from Nashville. So Rick Hillis is a recipient of the Amy Lowell Traveling Poetry Scholarship, a Fulbright, a Whiting Writers Award, and he's the author of several poetry collections. Most recently, My Roberto Clemente, mentioned in the last poem, which is out from C&R Press, and the copies are beautiful and they're available for sale over here. Where am I at on this? Oh, sorry. His poems, translations, and essays have appeared in many of the country's top magazines, to list a few: Harper's, Kenyon Review, Literary Imagination, Michigan, Quarterly Review, Narrative Poetry, Southern Review, and of course I have to throw Smartish Pace in there. Thank you for sending great work to Smartish Pace, my magazine. It was wonderful to publish your work. And you know, Rick has been somebody I've gotten to know a little bit at AWP over the years. It's always nice to see his face coming toward our table, because I know he's going to hang out for like a half hour, which I really appreciate, because spending 3 days at that table, you know, it's nice to have some company. So it's been great getting to know you. I love your poetry. Please welcome Rick Hillis.
Thank you so much for that, Stefan. Such a joy to be here. Thanks to Stefan, Emma in the back, and to Sophia. What a gorgeous poem. My God. It makes me feel much better about our moment, you know, hearing all of this poetry, this gorgeous work. I also want to thank Samyak. Oh my God, I was saying we should get a bus. It'd be fun, maybe we could all get a bus and just go on tour together. I also want to thank my sweetheart, Stephanie, who, you know, you've been hearing about, you know, flights being canceled. She was supposed to come last night so we could have kind of a Saturday night together, and her flight was canceled, but it made it this morning, so that was so great. And thank you all for staying, you know, not for poker money, but for poetry. I don't know that I could even earn poker money, so I'm so grateful to at least have some poems that I hope you'll find invigorating, you know? It's more than nothing, poetry, isn't it? I think for the first poem, I wanted to read a poem from my friend Camilo. What a gorgeous poem, by the way. Camilo wears many hats. What is the name of your band, Camilo?
Orquesta Mampesa.
Orquesta Mampesa, based in DC. Very sweetly, he and his sweetheart drove down about 45 minutes away. 50, 60, oh my God. So, and he's also, he's in this great band, got a great singing voice, clearly a wonderful poet. And I understand, I may be fictionalizing this a little, but I think we have the noisiness of the band to thank for his being here. Like, he was, you know, encouraged not to violate any noise ordinances, so came here. And I have a poem. It's not a noisy poem per se, but the poem is called Fender Strat with wah-wah, fuzz box, and whammy bar, with which you could make a lot of noise. It begins sort of with this notion of a smeared note. For those of you who may not be musicians, it's sort of that delicious moment when you get to bend the strings and sort of loft a note into the sublime. Fender Strat with wah-wah, fuzz box, and whammy bar, because you need all of that. A smeared note swells and scatters like a voice inside a cave, tugging the vibrato bar till the sound divides, like an egg yolk dropped in broth. Inside you now, swirling like a geyser trapped in earth, before the whole thing blows apart, as if the spirit world will talk back the more you face the amp and lean into yourself. You think there are so many ways to pray, this being, of course, another lining up of hands, another way to take the vagrant silence in yourself and make it deafening. Now it is the whole house breaking in the sound of surf, the echoes rattling the bookshelves, even without the sound. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to read a poem also for the first gentleman who read, who's pouring himself a little drink. What is your name?
Greg.
For Greg. Greg read this beautiful poem by Philip Levine, and I have, I guess, a couple of poems that seem to be loosely connected to him, but this one is written in the voice of one of his dear friends, the wonderful poet Richard Hugo. I know there are a number of poets here. I just adore his work so much. I suppose we all are writing through our echoes. This poem is called Missoula Eclipse, and it has this skyhook or epigraph, which is part of the inscription on Richard Hugo's headstone. Believe the couple who have finished their picnic and make wet love in the grass. Believe in milestones, the day you left home forever, and the cold open way a world would not let you in. If I could live again as just one thing, it would be this early autumn wind as it cartwheels the rooftops and avenues of the Pacific Northwest. The way the air of orchards vaulted in the mind of Keats as he brimmed over with his last odes, dreaming of the mouths his final words would touch and kiss through any darkness, like a shooting star. The way a starry-eyed stranger once blew smoke into the night before offering me her cigarette outside the 92nd Street Y, where I'd just given a reading, so that I didn't even notice sad-faced Jim Wright in a patch of leaves. And there we were again, Jim weeping and breathless to tell me he'd stopped drinking and was in love, and in a voice reserved for children and the very lost, told me he had cancer. I wish we had hightailed it then into my dream of Rome, the dream where we are laughing at our dumb luck and near giddy as we exit the gilded portal and enter a day too bright to see the Spanish Steps, where for us apparently it is always noon. I always wanted to take Jim to Rome to see the black ink of cuttlefish and shadows blue the edges of his grin, even if we were just to stand penniless and I the sparkling wishes tossed into fountains, one whose water surrounds a sculpted hull of a boat that's lost his mast, held in a state of perpetual sinking, as Jim points to the flat where Keats died, his friend Severn at his side, drawing him over and over, even after his last torment. Now Jim tells me about the dream he's having lately, in which Keats appears practically flying up and down the Spanish Steps in inline blades. Jim wants so badly to grab the frilly garment of the white-shirted romantic, who now is naked to the waist and in black spandex, in death forever beautiful and ridiculous. But Jim's afraid to wake us from the dream. Still, there's a melody under Keats's breath. It might be from Handel's water music, or just the syncopated rhythms of the boat we ride, our fountain of the sinking ship. Oh, to be so close to the poet we love who died at nearly half our age, not knowing what he would become for so many of us, understandably, makes us a little insane. Jim asks if I know what it all means, and then he's coming at me like Sonny Liston, as if the only way affection can be shown between men like us is with an open fist. And forgetting a moment that I am not even the merest breeze in your living hair, and that a boneyard in Missoula, Montana negates this vision, just now to my dead friend, I'm real as any man who's loved his life, and stunned by it, tries to face what he can't take, when the trees of Rome rattle their silver leaves, and Jim picks me up like nothing in his arms. I realize that's also for my friend Ware Egan, who may be feeling a little longing for Rome at about this moment. I don't know when usually the decanters of wine are opened. I don't know, perhaps. I understand that can happen here too. Oh my God, so many poems to share with you. The night sky is almost, maybe it's just past that last blue. I don't know about you, but I really love that cobalt blue right before it becomes black. And this poem is for that transition. It's called The Last Blue Light. If this is my last blue light, may I still have time to taste the darkness melting on my tongue, dissolving with the sound of sugar maple leaves blowing around my childhood home. May wind lift the leaves up to their branches and air be restored to the last season, winter's steamy breath leaving us autumn, all shovels and rakes remaining in dust, unneeded. Let us reach our altitude, each of us humming our ascent, moving with the sounds of wet machinery. Nothing visible as we bear down through space, but the last blue light of day, glowing as at the black wings, the seatbelt sign now off, and my dead friend, Michael, sleeping in the empty row beside mine. The fire highlights in his poker straight ponytail, lighting up the aria on his lap, the one he dozed off memorizing the day his plane went down. His thick lips still shivering in blue from the icy waters off LaGuardia. Nothing yet has edged us out of the sky, he says, to show he's listening. Each of us now weighs as much as the city we grew up in. And I can almost feel the stampede, and I can almost feel this sense of being occupied, of the stampede of population, everyone I've ever loved moving through rows of starlight and in me. And what if the dead need us too, as much as we need them? And who wouldn't give everything if it meant having them among us, alive again? Thank you guys so much. Wow, you guys have been so patient too. Do you think I'm going to read a poem or two from this collection? It seems like there's so many poems to be written, and I hope you all, there's so many poets here, and I would imagine most of us are writers, and so many people deserving of poems. And this is someone I just, met and wrote this poem for him. The title would become clear in the poem. It's one of the perils, isn't it, of introducing your poems, is like you never want to steal the thunder from them. So anyway, this poem is called Samaj. Oh, thank you, Samaj, for smiling at me and saying hello at the annual Symphony Space sidewalk book sale, your 4-year-old boy self already up to my waist. By now, you will have forgotten me, as you're supposed to, so you can have room in your still forming brain for all the things you really need to learn, like your multiplication tables, the Declaration of Independence, the capitals to the states and nations of the world. I'll consider it an honor when you replace your remember of me with the Heimlich maneuver, or something that could help you in an emergency, as valuable as 911. Anything to help you save a life, especially your own. But I don't need to forget about you so easily. For one thing, I'm at an age when forgetting things comes a little too easily, and remembering is an act of resistance. And I aim to resist the dying of my light. And so what if others deem this moment worthy of forgetting? I shall preserve you, if only in the amber of this memory. I can still see you turning to me when you said, "Rick, look," and your impish dimples sparkled as the books you stacked made the most perfect launching pad for your water bottle, 1/3 full as its contents sloshed inside, not ruining a single book, which clearly delighted you. "So you're a builder, are you?" I asked, and you say, "Yes, I am a builder." Your 4-year-old self and your mother just in Manhattan for the day, taking the train in from the Bronx. And even if I remember your first name now forever, as your mother laughingly explains it to me, "Samaj, it's James, backwards," nothing will ever diminish the meaning you gave your name today all by yourself. There is a little more, but maybe that is a good place to end. We'll say this is the addendum. A meaning inseparable now, at least in my mind, from that book of Nelson Mandela's favorite children's stories at Symphony Space, which your mother let me buy for you. Your smile by now so ginormous, it seemed you'd eaten the whole Big Apple and the sun in that instant, when I gave you the book, as if returning it to its rightful owner. You know, I suppose this is a moment when, if you don't mind, I'll read maybe a couple of poems to teachers. This is actually one that Stefan very sweetly gave a home to in his beautiful journal, Smartish Pace. How many years has it been around for?
46.
What? 26? That's a stunning thing. It's been such an honor to appear in it now a couple of times. This is to a teacher of mine, a Polish poet that I think maybe many of you have heard of, Adam Zagajewski. Lovely, lovely man. Thank you, yeah, for Adam. And for the teachers. I know there are a number of teachers here. Jordan, who was one of the readers, is a teacher, he tells me. Moira, of course, is a teacher in here. How lucky to have so many teachers and poets here. So this is called A Snail's Discourse on Eternity, a late farewell to Adam Zagajewski. We meet again in another city of the imagination, where peaches can be perfect, bountiful, and ripe, depending on the mind. We must keep ours healthy, and distant cities of memory like this will still exist. Though Poland claims you, first you were Ukraine's. In an early poem you asked how to get to Lvov, but even then your translator used its Russian name. To go to Lviv then, maybe at night, only in dreams. But in Putin's Ukraine, nobody's dreams are safe. Once you feared Lviv was so big that it disappeared. But as you end your poem, now it is everywhere. I can see it the more I see you in my mind, old teacher, how your white eyebrows flutter in a blizzard of smoke each time a drone strikes another civilian high-rise. Oligarchs yawn as their yachts are repossessed. What's more important than finding love in Lviv? Like your uncle, who keeps writing a poem called Why? And maybe like your aunts, who could not have known that you would come to resurrect them, I have come to bring you back to life for as long as this music lasts, writing my own poem called Why Not? To bring your gentle strength. Yet how your gift for wonder overflows like life itself, shattering these words as it cannot be contained and live. Cathedrals sweat the more they harbor unanswered prayers. Thank you, Adam, for helping me stay among the Jesuits that year I lived in Krakow, in your last city. I understand because you told me that Father Stan Obirik fell in love and left the cloth to enter the great mystery as we must. I love most from that time a lesson from another Stanislav who told me his thesis that the practice of putting crucifixes near former Holocaust sites ceases to be a holy offering the moment it offends one person. It must be taken down. And so I take it all back, Adam, should any of this offend you, that I might return you safely to your leisure reading. Maybe today you finish a snail's discourse on eternity. If only I could add a hammock and a bowl of tart cherries. I recall fondly my last afternoon with you and Maya, how completely you both had found love, if not Lviv. Though I should remember, you say that it is everywhere, there in your words I love most, that ask us to praise. Thank you. How are you guys doing? I realize this is quite a marathon. I almost wondered, do you guys want to stand up for a second? Just, you're okay? All right. Stay comfortable. The end is near. The end is always near. The deadline, I suppose, is the constant nemesis. I suppose for all of us, this has been an intense year, whether we're talking about significant changes at the national level or, for some of us closer to home. In the last 6 months, if you can imagine this, both of my parents passed away about 5 days apart from one another. And in April, the month that Eliot called the cruelest month, added a new level of cruelty. But what can I tell you? One of the most amazing things is how they still feel very much with me whenever I feel, it seems like they're teaching me something about not just humility, but not putting as much faith in what I think I know, being more open to mystery and the beauty of the imagination, if it's not just magical thinking. But I have a few poems from a current manuscript that I'm working on and very nearly finishing. It's a thrill to be writing it, and it feels very much opened, by these deaths. And I've also, I suppose, have been writing these poems that I'm calling like at the edge of the perceivable spectrum. And I have maybe a couple of them to read to you. Very, very near the end here. So this is called At the Edge of the Perceivable Spectrum. The children I will never have still come to me at night, so eager for the stories I owe them at the end of each day. Tonight it's the tale of the Jew and Palestinian who grow so tired of fighting and bulldozers, upturning simple homes to dust. And so they sit at the same table, one with a muddy coffee, murky with dreams, the other with a tea steaming black cardamom, drawn from the shadows of camelbacks. But they are so tired, they fall into each other's arms. I want to say, weeping with gratitude, though they are too tired to weep. So it is their wheezing breath we hear, sawing another path to morning that no one has ever seen, not even you, children I'll never have, whose children I'll never see. You who are nevertheless, even now, hoping to elude the next extinction. Sleep now and dream, dear ones, while I tuck you in here, so that you, or at least this part of you, might always live. Thank you. This is also from this newer manuscript. It's called The Snake, and it has a skyhook or an epigraph from D.H. Lawrence, who also has a wonderful poem called The Snake. The line is, "And now I have something to expiate, a pettiness, the snake. I didn't ask for this, not that anyone would ask for it, but here we were, our love letting the front door turn inward with a shriek before I see it, the lean creature clinging to the white inner threshold like a tree root dislodging itself from the earth that nourishes it when it falls onto the linoleum, and I see it, writhing like an accidental guest in our universe, this small God that love's already asking me to destroy. And what should I do when it keeps entering our lives, riding the kitchen flooring, bewildered and already out of its mind, that I am deciding its fate? And so I fumble, the sliding doors open long enough to grab the small whisk broom by the long yellow handle and start sweeping it out of our lives, which is its wish too. And in just a few brushstrokes, I have painted it outside the landscape of our lives and back to the world it knows when again I hear my love say, kill it, kill it, kill it. And I must not blame her because her words replace the music occupying my mind, obliterating Gandhi, Krishnamurti, MLK in me, until all I hear is this noise of myself wielding power